Okay, this is the Daf Yomi for March 26th, 2025. We're in Sanhedrin 99. We're closing in on the end of Sanhedrin. We have like 2 weeks left. And that is the background for the... Okay, let me back up to the end of 98. It says, Rabbi Simlai taught, what is the meaning of that which is written? Woe to you who desire the day of the Lord. Why would you have this day of the Lord? It is darkness and not light. Amos 5:18. It is comparable to a rooster and a bat who are looking forward to the light of day. The rooster said to the bat, I look forward to light, as light is an indication of my time to be active. But as for you, why do you need light? Nighttime for you is like daytime for me. Okay, now we're in 99. It says, and that is the background of the following exchange. As a certain heretic said to Rabbi Abahu, when will the Messiah come? Rabbi Abahu said to him, he will come when the darkness will enshroud these people, that is you. The heretic said to him, you are cursing me for no reason. Rabbi Abahu said to him, I am merely relating to you a verse that is written, quote, for behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and fog the peoples, but the Lord shall shine upon you, and his glory shall be seen upon you. Isaiah 60, verse 2. It is taught in a Braita. Rabbi Eliezer says, the Messianic era will be 40 years long, as it is stated, 40 years will I strive with the generation. Psalm 95:10. The 40 years of strife with the Gentiles will be followed by the glory days of the Messiah. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says, the Messianic era will last 70 years, as it is stated, and it shall come to pass on that day that Tyre shall be forgotten 70 years, according to the days of one king. Isaiah 23:15. In this context, one, echad, means unique, or miyuchad, which is the unique king. You must say that this is a reference to Mashiach. Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi says the Messianic era will last 3 generations, as it is stated. May they fear you as long as the sun and moon endure throughout the generations. Dor, Dorim. Psalms 72, verse 5. So Dor is singular and Dorim is plural, for a total of 3 generations. Rabbi Hillel says there is no Messiah coming for the Jewish people, as they have already ate from him, as all the prophecies relating to the Messiah were already fulfilled during the days of Hezekiah. Rav Yosef says, may the Master forgive Rabbi Hillel for stating matters with no basis. With regard to Hezekiah, when was his reign? It was during the First Temple period, whereas Zechariah ben Barachiah the prophet prophesied during the Second Temple period and said, rejoice greatly, daughter of Zion, shout, daughter of Jerusalem, behold, your king will come to you. He is just and victorious, lowly and riding on a donkey and upon a colt, the foal of a donkey. Zechariah 9:9. In the generations after Hezekiah, there are prophecies about both redemption and the coming of the Messiah. It is taught in another Braita. Rabbi Eliezer says, the Messianic era will be 40 years long. It is written here with regard to the 40-year sojourn of the children of Israel in the wilderness. Quote, and he afflicted you and suffered you to hunger and fed you with manna. Deuteronomy 8:3. It is written there, make us glad according to the days you've afflicted us, the years that we saw evil. Psalm 90, verse 15. Rabbi Dosa says, the Messianic era will last 400 years. It is written here with regard to the covenant of the pieces, quote, and they shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Genesis 15:13. And it is written there, make us glad according to the days you've afflicted us. Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi says, the Messianic era will last 365 years, corresponding to the number of days of the solar year, as it is stated, for the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redemption is come. Isaiah 63, verse 4. The Gemara asks, what is the meaning of the phrase, for the day of vengeance is in my heart? Rabbi Yochanan says that it means that God said, I revealed the day of vengeance to my heart, but it did not reveal it to my limbs. As it were, I never stated it explicitly. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish says that it means that God said, I revealed the secret to my heart, but I did not reveal it to the ministering angels. Avimi, son of Rabbi Abahu, taught, the Messianic era for the Jewish people will last 7,000 years, as it is stated, and as the bridegroom rejoices over the bride, so shall your God rejoice over you. Isaiah 62, verse 5. So the bridegroom rejoices over the bride for 7 days, and the day of the Holy One, blessed be He, is 1,000 years. So Rabbi Yehuda says that Shmuel says, the duration of the Messianic era is like the duration of the period that runs from the day the world was created until now. That is, the day when the Mashiach will come, as it is stated, quote, that your days may be multiplied in the days of your children in the land that the Lord swore to your forefathers to give them, as the days of the heaven upon the earth. Deuteronomy 11:21. Rabbi Nachman Bar Yitzchak says, the duration of the Messianic era is like the duration of the period that runs from the days of Noah until now. That is, the day when the Messiah will come, as it is stated with regard to redemption. For this is the seas, or Kimei, Noah to me. For this is as the seas of Kimei, Noah to me, as I have sworn. So Noah, as in the Noah from the flood. As I have sworn that the seas of Noah shall no more go over the earth, so I have sworn that I will not be angry with you nor rebuke you. Isaiah 54, verse 9. The words Kimei can be understood as one word, Kimei, meaning like the days of. Rabbi Chia Bar Abba says that Rabbi Yochanan says, in the prophecies with regard to the redemption of the end of days, all the prophets prophesied only about the Messianic era, but with regard to the world to come, the reward is not quantifiable, as it states, no eye has seen it, God aside from you. Who will do for you those who wait? Who will do for who, meaning God, will do for those who await him. Isaiah 64, verse 3. The Gemara notes, in this statement disagrees with the opinion of Shmuel, as Shmuel says the difference between this world and the Messianic era is only with regard to servitude to foreign kingdoms alone, as they will leave Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Chia Bar Abba says that Rabbi Yochanan says all the prophets prophesied the prophecies of consolation only with regard to penitence, but with regard to the word of the completely righteous, it is stated, no eye has seen it, God aside from you. The Gemara notes, in the opinion expressed in this statement disagrees with the opinion of Rabbi Abahu, who holds that penitents are superior to the righteous, as Rabbi Abahu says that Rav says, in the place where penitents stand, even the completely righteous do not stand. As it is stated, peace upon him who is far and him who is near, Isaiah 57:19. Peace and greeting is extended first to him who is far, and only thereafter is peace extended to him who is near. What is the meaning of the term upon him who is far? It means one who was initially far, that is the penitent. And what is the meaning of the term him who is near? It means one who was initially near and continues to be near at present. That is the completely righteous individual who never strayed. Rabbi Yochanan says, upon him who is far is referring to one who is distant from transgression, the completely righteous individual. Him who is near is referring to one who is near to transgression and distance himself from it, the penitent. So he's taking the opposite opinion. So Rabbi Chia Bar Abba says that Rabbi Yochanan says, all of the prophets prophesied their prophecies with consolation only with regard to one who values wisdom and therefore marries his daughter to a Torah scholar, and to one who conducts business, perak matya, on behalf of a Torah scholar, and to one who utilizes wealth to benefit a Torah scholar from his property in some other way. But the prophets did not describe the extent of the reward for Torah scholars themselves, whose reward is not quantifiable, as it is stated, no eye has seen it, God aside from you. The Gemara asks, what reward is indicated in the phrase, no eye has seen it? Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi says, this is wine preserved in its grapes from 6 days of creation. No person has drunk that wine, and therefore no one can appreciate its quality. Reish Lakish says, this is Eden, which no eye has ever seen. And if you say, where did Adam, the first man, live, if not in Eden? The answer is that he lived in the garden. Unless you say the garden is Eden, and they are indistinguishable, the verse states, and a river emerged from Eden to irrigate the garden, Genesis 2:10, indicating that they were two distinct places. The Mishnah teaches that those who have no share in the world to come include one who says the Torah did not originate from heaven. The sages taught in Braita that with regard to the verse, because he has despised the word of the Lord and has breached his commandment, that soul shall be excised. His iniquity shall be upon him, Numbers 15:31. This is a reference to one who says the Torah did not originate from heaven. Alternatively, one can explain because he was despised the word of the Lord, this is a reference to an Epikoros, who treats the word of God with contempt. Alternatively, one can explain, because he has despised the word of the Lord, this is a reference to one who interprets the Torah inappropriately and has breached his commandment. This is a reference to one who breaches the covenant of flesh, who refuses to circumcise his foreskin, shall be excised, or tikaret. Hikaret refers to being excised in this world, and tikaret refers to being excised in the world to come. From here, Rabbi Elazar Moadai says, with regard to one who desecrates consecrated items, that is intentionally rendering them impure, and one who treats the intermediate days of the festivals with contempt, and one who breaches the covenant of Abraham, our forefather, and one who reveals aspects in the Torah that are not in accordance with the halacha, and one who humiliates another in public, even if he has, to his credit Torah study and good deeds, he has no share in the world to come. It is taught in a Braita, because he has despised the word of the Lord, this is reference to one who studies the Torah and did not originate from heaven. And even if one says the entire Torah originated from heaven except for this verse, any one verse claiming that the Holy One, blessed be he, did not say it, but Moses himself said it on his own, this is included in the category of because he has despised the word of the Lord. And even if one says the entire Torah originated from heaven except for this inference referred by the sages, or except for this a fortiori inference, or except for this verbal analogy, this is included in the category of because he has despised the word of the Lord. So, it negates the traditions that, like, for example, like that the entire Torah is, a name of God, or that the entire Torah is able to, I guess you could say, project information beyond the plain meaning of the text. And that's actually a very important thing. And this is what we see throughout the Talmud, is that the text is there so that additional information, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and everything else can be extracted from the text. Even on a prophetic level, it can be extracted from the text. Okay, it is taught in Braita that Rabbi Meir would say, with regard to one who studies Torah and does not teach it to others, this person is included in the category of he has despised the word of the Lord, as his conduct indicates that he does not consider the word of the Lord significant enough to teach others. Rabbi Natan says, anyone who does not pay the requisite attention to the Mishnah and does not consider it essential halacha is included in the category of because he has despised the word of the Lord. Rabbi Nehorai says, anyone for whom it is possible to engage in Torah study and who nevertheless does not engage in its study is included in the category of because he has despised the word of the Lord. And that's a good, personally, I don't feel like I've been aware of this teaching right here by Rabbi Meir, and I think that it goes to say, we have a lot of opportunity today through social media and everything else that people did not have a long time ago, where we can reach an enormous amount of people and spread a lot of good. It's not, we don't necessarily have to spread our way of life, but if we spread good, unity, wisdom, spread the means for people to have tools in their life to be able to take care of the problems that they have, that is what we're here for. Rabbi Yishmael says this verse, because he has despised the word of the Lord, is a reference to an idol worshiper. And you know what? They say that we're such a low, I just have to interject. They say that we're such a low generation. The mystics say that our generation is like the bottom of the foot. Just how on the bottom of your foot you have all that callous skin. We have a lack of life. We're one of the lowest generations, but we have the opportunity and the tools, social media, YouTube, whatever you want to call it, TikTok, whatever you want to do, to reach out and affect so many more people's lives. So we might not be on such a high spiritual level as generations in the past have, but we have the ability to make up for it in mitzvot. We have the ability to perform mitzvot that we have not been able to do in generations. I mean, how close at hand were some of these things? Like if you lived in a certain country, who's to say that you could get a lulav for Sukkot? Who's to say that you could get your hands on tefillin without the government like coming down on you, or tzitzit, or you name it, being married, or something like that, that you know, like past governments like had their hand on everything. We can so freely perform mitzvot today, and in enormous ways. So you have the ability to go on the internet today and provide a message to the entire world. Not the entire world is watching your content, but you can literally have access to thousands of people, and spread that message. So we have the ability to do a lot in this generation. So take advantage of it, because who's to say that it's going to be here tomorrow, 10 years from now, 100 years from now? The same technology that we have that we can use to spread, you know, goodness, peace, wisdom, all these things, fear of God, love of your fellow man. These same technology tools that we have are also so dangerous that our world could come apart at the seams very quickly, and we might not have this stuff tomorrow. So we take advantage of these things while we have the opportunity. Even whenever I put up this YouTube channel, you know, I was like, I don't have a great background, you know, I don't have the computer that I had in the past to be able to like make a good intro, or, you know, something like that. And it's like I had to just make the decision, no, I'm just going to do it. You know, I should be putting content out there. I shouldn't just be sitting on my hands waiting for the day that I'll have the opportunity to make everything in the background look, you know, fabulous. I'm not here to like show you a video in the background. I'd rather you listen and pay attention and just listen to words, rather than just seeing all these visuals and everything else that a lot of people have to put in their videos. But anyway, Rabbi Yishmael says this verse, because he has despised the word of the Lord, is a reference to an idol worshiper. The Gemara asks, from where in the verse is this inferred? The Gemara explains, it is derived from a verse, as the school of Rabbi Yishmael taught, quote, because he has despised the word of the Lord, or davar of the Lord. This is a reference to one who treats with contempt a statement or a dibor that was stated to Moses at Sinai and heard by all the Jewish people. Quote, I am the Lord your God, etc. You shall have no other gods besides me. Exodus 20, verses 2 through 3. Apropos Torah study, Rabbi Yehoshua ben Korcha says, anyone who studies Torah and does not review it is comparable to a person who sows and does not reap. Rabbi Yehoshua says, anyone who studies Torah and causes himself to forget it is similar to a woman who gives birth and buries her newborn child. Wow, what a statement. That's actually pretty intense of a statement. And you know what? You don't have to necessarily review the same thing over and over again. You just have to just pick up a book and go from one book to the next book, just like I'm doing in these videos. Just go from one book to the next book. Finish one book, pick up another book, and keep going. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to review the same thing over and over again. Rabbi Nachman of Breslev, he says, you know, I said this before, that he taught that you should blaze through as much material as you can and not like sit there and pull every piece of wisdom you can out of a paragraph or a little text or a chapter or something like that and find all the details. He says that you need to just blaze through a whole bunch of material so that you have this vast volume of learning across, you know, all of Jewish literature, and from there it'll come into you. Not necessarily you have to nail down every fact in detail, but it'll eventually like be absorbed into you, and you'll have this greater breadth of education, and it's a very good way to study. And to tell you the truth, in our culture, people think slow, talk slow, read slow. And we also need to train ourselves to actually do things faster, to read faster, think faster. So anyway, apropos Torah study, Rabbi, I said that. Okay, Rabbi Akiva says, sing every day, sing every day. It says it twice. Review your studies like a song that one sings over and over. Rav Yitzchak Baravudimi says, from what verse is this derived? It is as it is stated, the hunger of the laborer labors for him, for his mouth presses upon him. Proverbs 16:26. That is, he exhausts his mouth through constant review and study. He labors in Torah in this place, this world, and his Torah labors for him in another place, the world to come. Rabbi Elazar says, every man was created for labor, as it is stated, man is born for toil. Job 5:7. Based on this verse, I do not know whether he was created for toil of the mouth, speech, or whether he was created for toil of labor. When the verse states, for his mouth presses upon him, Proverbs 16:26, you must say that he was created for toil of the mouth. And I will, still I do not know, with regard to the toil of the mouth, whether it is for the toil of Torah or for the toil of conversation. When the verse states, quote, this Torah scroll shall not depart from your mouth, Joshua 1:8, you must say that he was created for the toil of Torah. And that is the meaning of what Rava said. All the bodies are receptacles to store items until use. So happy is one who is privileged, who is a receptacle for Torah. The verse states, he who commits adultery with a woman lacks understanding, Proverbs 6:32. Reish Lakish says, this is a reference to one who studies Torah intermittently, who is like an adulterer who sins with the other woman intermittently. As it is stated about words of Torah, for it is a pleasant thing if you keep them within your belly, let them be established on your lips, Proverbs 22:18, and keep the Torah always available. And I've also heard people say like the different meanings of what Torah means. Rabbi David, I think his name is pronounced Neiman, he was also a professor. He had mentioned, and this kind of stuck with me, that Torah literally means like the pointing out of the way. And you know, we kind of forget that. Like that's actually like, we forget that, you know, that there's a direction, and the text is pointing out the right way, but also we should be pointing out the right way. But back to the text here. The sages taught in Braita that with regard to the verse, quote, but the person who acts high-handedly, whether he is born in the land or a stranger, that person blasphemes the Lord. Numbers 15:30. This is a reference to Menashe ben Hizkiah, king of Israel, who would sit and teach flawed interpretations of Torah narratives. Menashe said, but did Moses need to write only insignificant matters that teach nothing? For example, quote, and Lotan's sister was Timnah, Genesis 36:22, or, quote, and Timnah was a concubine to Eliphaz, son of Esau, Genesis 36:12. Or, quote, and Reuben went in the days of the wheat harvest and found Dudaim in the field, Genesis 30:14. A divine voice emerged and said to him, quote, you sit and speak against your brother. You slander your own mother's son. These things you have done, and should I have kept silent, you would imagine that I was like you, but I will reprove you and set the matter before your eyes. Psalms 50:20-21. The verses in the Torah are not empty matters, with regard to which you can decide their import. And about Menashe ben Hizkiah, it is taught explicitly in the text of tradition, the prophets, woe unto them who draw iniquity with cords of vanity, and sin as with a cart rope. Isaiah 5:18. What is the meaning of the phrase, as with a cart rope? Rabbi Yossi says, this is a reference to the evil inclination. Initially, it seems like a flimsy spinning kuvea, a thread, and ultimately it seems like a sturdy cart rope. And now we're going to get to a portion right here. These next two paragraphs I think are extremely significant, especially for our day. I've spoken about this in the past. So it says, Menashe began by mocking a few verses and ultimately violated the entire Torah. The Gemara asks, with regard to that verse, that we came to discuss. In any event, what is the significance of the phrase in the verse, quote, "And Lotan's sister was Timnah"? The Gemara explains Timnah was the daughter of kings, as it is written, quote, "the chief of Lotan," Genesis 36:29, and, quote, "the chief of Timnah," Genesis 36:40. Each chief is a member of a monarchy, albeit without a crown. That is why they are called chief and not king. It says now, Timnah sought to convert. She came before Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and they did not accept her. And this is what they do today. You'll hear some people say that converts are supposed to be turned away 3 times. And that's actually not correct at all. And this is what this comes to teach right here. And the significance of that. I talked in another video before. I'm sure I've talked in another video. I have a video that I'm not sure if it's listed yet, where I'm mentioning the principle of the goring ox. So the principle of the goring ox is that whenever something happens 3 times, it's a certainty. So it's not called a goring ox until the ox gores 3 times. The first time it could be a fluke. The second time, it could have been scared, it had a bad day. If it happens a 3rd time, it's a goring ox. It's a certainty. 3 times is a certainty. So we have here, she came before Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and they did not accept her as a convert. She went and became a concubine of Eliphaz, son of Esau, and said, referring to herself, "It is preferable that she will be a maidservant for this nation, and she will not be a noble woman for another nation." Ultimately, Amalek, son of Eliphaz, emerged from her, and that tribe afflicted the Jewish people. What is the reason that the Jewish people were punished by suffering at the hand of Amalek? It is due to the fact that they should not have rejected her when she sought to convert. Therefore, the verse is significant. So, we just got done with Purim, and one of the main characters in the story of Purim is Haman, and Haman was from the nation of Amalek, and Amalek is the eternal enemy of the nation of Israel. I'm not sure if they'll last forever. It's not like a nation that you can just see, oh, well, this is Amalek. They don't wear their flag on their arm. They have been there throughout history. Sometimes there's been groups in history that have taken on that name, like blatantly. I can think of like the Mamelukes, to be specific. And there were other groups as well. I believe their main city was Petra. Even though, these places have been overthrown, these nations have been more or less overthrown, Amalek still exists. It's an ideology that exists in this world. It's a spiritual entity that exists in this world. And its power is rooted in rejecting the ger, rejecting the convert. So at the time of the Mishnah, people converted miyad, like immediately. They didn't take a year to convert. They didn't. At most, it would be like a month, because if a man had to heal because of a circumcision before he went to the mikvah. But aside from that, it was not a 1-year process, 2-year process, 5-year process. Nobody waited for the ger to become a rabbi. That kind of stuff is ridiculous. As a matter of fact, we'll eventually get to this someday. Yevamot has a lot of stories of conversions in it, and that's where a lot of the material for the halacha of conversion is derived. And Hillel, he's noted as being pestered by someone and basically converting them on one foot. The Rambam's Mishnah Torah, he lays out the laws of conversion, and it's very simple and easy, and he does not tell you to deny the convert, and he does not tell you to make them go through a process. It's 1 year. There's no such thing as conversion papers. It's a shame what has happened today, and it has to do, actually, I've heard, I'm not going to say that I'm like this all-knowing creature, but I've heard that it's because of the modern state of Israel, because they don't want people to be citizens so easily, and they have the right of return. If you're Jewish, or you have some established Jewish identity, you have the law of return, and you can become a citizen. So the modern state of Israel has made it more difficult, not necessarily the state, but the I guess you could say leadership in the world today has made it difficult. And we've heard stories in our time period of people having their conversion retroactively annulled, which has never happened in history, only within the last so many decades. It's a concept that never existed before. It's never existed in the halakhic literature or anything else. But this is what we have to deal with. So if you want to know what empowers Amalek, it's turning away the convert. Okay. Ultimately, when you turn away the convert, and this goes back to what we just said earlier, what Rabbi Meir said. It is taught in a Braita that Rabbi Meir would say, with regard to one who studies Torah and does not teach it to others, this person is included in the category of he has despised the word of the Lord. So if you do not accept the converts, you're despising the word of the Lord. It goes along with that. It's not a coincidence that that's a couple paragraphs previous. Okay. So, and Reuven went in the days of the wheat harvest. Genesis 30:14. Rava, son of Rabbi Yitzchak, says that Rav says, from here it can be seen that the righteous do not extend their hands to engage in robbery, even of small items, as rather than taking wheat, Reuben took only the ownerless dudaim. The verse continues, quote, and he found dudaim in the field. The Gemara asks, what are dudaim? Rav says they are a plant called Yavruche. Levi says they are violets. Rabbi Yonatan says they are Seviske. Okay, apropos the significance of Torah study, Rabbi Alexandri says, anyone who engages in the study of Torah for its own sake and introduces peace into the heavenly entourage above and into the earthly entourage below. As it is stated, quote, or let him take hold of my stronghold, or ma'uzi, that he may make peace with me, and he shall make peace with me. Isaiah 27, verse 5. One who observes the Torah is called Oz, produces peace even before the presence of God, as it were. Rav says, it is as though he built a palace of heaven above and of earth below, as it is stated, and I have placed my words in your mouth. I have covered you in the shadow of my hand, to plant the heavens and lay the foundations of the earth, and say to Zion, you are my people. Isaiah 51:16. One who has the word of God placed in his mouth through Torah study has established the heaven and earth. Rabbi Yochanan says, one who engages in Torah study also protects the entire world, as it is stated, quote, and I have covered you in the shadow of my hand. And Levi says, he also advances the coming of the redemption, as it is stated, quote, and say to Zion, you are my people. Reish Lakish said, with regard to anyone who teaches Torah to the son of another, the verse ascribes him credit as though he formed the student, as it is stated, and Avram took Sarai, his wife, and the souls that they formed in Haran, Genesis 12:5. They are given credit for forming the students to whom they taught Torah. Rabbi Elazar says, it is as though he fashioned or asa'an, the words of Torah themselves, as it is stated. Observe the words of this covenant. Va'asitem otam, Deuteronomy 29:8, indicating the studying of Torah is like fashioning it. Rava says it is as though he fashioned himself, as it is stated. Va'asitem otam. Do not read va'asitem otam as you have fashioned them. Rather, read it as va'asitem atem, meaning you fashion yourself. Okay, Rabbi Abahu says, with regard to anyone who causes another to engage in a matter of a mitzvah, the verse ascribes him credit as though he performed it himself. And this goes back to what I said earlier about how this generation has the ability to perform lots of mitzvot, because you can influence so many people so fast, like instantaneously, to perform mitzvot. And it's as if you performed it yourself. Okay, quote, and the Lord said to Moses, etc., and your rod with which you struck the river, take in your hand and go. Exodus 17, verse 5. And it was Moses who struck the river. But isn't it also written explicitly, Exodus 7, 19 to 20, that Aaron struck the river? Rather, the verse serves to say to you, anyone who causes another to engage in a matter of a mitzvah, the verse ascribes him credit as though he performed it himself. The Mishnah teaches that those who have no share in the world to come include an Epikoros. Epikoros. Rav and Rabbi Hanina both say, this is one who treats a Torah scholar with contempt. Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi say, this is one who treats another with contempt before a Torah scholar. The Gemara asks, granted, according to the one who says that one who treats another with contempt before a Torah scholar is an Epikoros, mentioned in the Mishnah, one who treats a Torah scholar with contempt is characterized as one who interprets the Torah inappropriately, due to his lowering of the status of a Torah scholar. But according to one who says that one who treats a Torah scholar himself with contempt is the Epikoros mentioned in the Mishnah, how would he characterize one who interprets the Torah inappropriately? Like what individual does such a person conduct himself? He is like Manasseh, the son of Hizkiah, who would teach flawed interpretations of Torah narratives. And there are those who teach this dispute with regard to the latter clause of the Braita. From here, Rabbi Elazar Hamoadai said, one who interprets the Torah inappropriately has no share in the world to come. Rav and Rabbi Hanina say, this is one who treats a Torah scholar with contempt. Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi say, this is one who treats another with contempt before a Torah scholar. The Gemara asks, granted, according to one who says that one who treats a Torah scholar himself with contempt is one mentioned in a Braita who interprets the Torah inappropriately, one who treats another with contempt before a Torah scholar is characterized as an Epikoros mentioned in the Mishnah. But according to one who says that one who treats another with contempt before a Torah scholar is the one mentioned in the Braita who interprets the Torah inappropriately, how would he characterize the Epikoros mentioned in the Mishnah? Like whom does he conduct himself? Rav Yosef says it is referring to one who conducts himself like those who say, in what manner have the sages benefited us with all their Torah study? They read the Bible for their own benefit, and they study the Mishnah for their own benefit. Abaye said to him, that person who questions the benefit provided by sages is also in the category of one who interprets the Torah inappropriately, since with that statement he repudiates the Torah itself, as it is written, quote, if not for my covenant, I would not have appointed day and night, the laws of heaven and earth. Jeremiah 33:25. The eternal covenant of the Torah is responsible for maintaining the existence of the entire world. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak says, from here to include the same concept from it as it is stated, if I find and sought in 50 just men within the city, then I will spare the entire place for their sakes. Genesis 18:26. The righteous protect the place where they reside. Meaning by their righteousness. Rather, the Epikoros mentioned in the Mishnah is referring to one who conducts himself like one who sits before his teacher, and a halacha that he learned from another place happens to fall into his consciousness, and the student says, this is what we say there, and he does not say deferentially. This is what the master said, even if he did not learn that matter from his teacher. Rava said the term Epikoros is referring to one who conducts himself like those those from the house of Benjamin, the doctor, who say, quote, in what manner have the sages benefited us with all their Torah study? Never have they permitted a raven for us, nor have they prohibited a dove for us. Okay, and that's the end of Sanhedrin 99. Sanhedrin goes to 1.113. So it actually means that there's 112 in this tractate, because we start on Daf 2. This has basically been a third of a year. We are nearly 2 weeks away from finishing it. So if you've been studying all this time. Thank you. Just keep in mind that there's also the Tosefta that I read for the book of the Sanhedrin out of the Tosefta. So there's additional material, and there's going to be the same thing for Makot. When we start Makot after Sanhedrin, there's going to be the Tosefta for that as well. So you'll have a full breadth of learning of the Tosefta, the Mishnah, and the Gemara of the Talmud. So thanks for studying all this time.